Hello and welcome to QBA 237, Basic Business Statistics. My name is Dr. Todd Daniel, and I am going to be your instructor this semester. I want to begin this first video by explaining the structure of the course, so that you will have all the tools that you need to organize your learning. Our class is scheduled for 2 days a week. Now, typically, I teach on Monday and Wednesday, although this same structure would apply if we have a Tuesday-Thursday class. Monday, the first day of class, is going to be a lecture. If you are in the online class, then you can watch a video of the lecture. If you're in a seated class, of course, then you will get to see the lecture live. Wednesday, or the second day of class, will be a lab day. This is where I will show you specific techniques about how to do the statistics that we learned about, as well as give you the opportunity to work on your homework assignments while I'm there with you in the classroom to answer questions. I mentioned that you may be enrolled in the online or the seated or the blended version of this class. I have organized this statistics course so that, regardless of modality, all of the resources are available for all of my students. This way, if we have to miss a class, whether for a snow day or a pandemic, you will not miss out on learning. We can easily pivot to online learning if needed, and we can switch back just as easily. This means that if you miss a seated class because of illness or travel, or you have to attend a wedding in St. Louis, you can still watch the lecture video for that week, complete the assignments, and you will not miss out on anything. This is the textbook that we will be using. It is Modern Business Statistics, published by Cengage. As part of the streamlined program at MSU, you now have a Cengage Unlimited subscription, and you will have access to this textbook from the first day of class. And as part of Cengage Unlimited, if you are taking another class that also uses a Cengage textbook, there is no additional cost for that book. Now let me introduce you to the structure that you can expect in this class. Each week begins on Monday, and it ends at midnight on Sunday. All of the work assigned in a given week is due at midnight on Sunday of that week. Now, this is a 16-week semester, so the course is organized into four 4-week blocks. Block A comprises weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. When we get to the end of week 4, it will be time for your first test. Now, this test will cover material only from Block A. The test, however, will be split into 2 parts. The first part is a traditional unit test which focuses on the theory and the material about statistics that you learn about in the lecture. This test will include multiple choice, true, false, matching items, and it will use the Respondus lockdown browser to proctor the test. But because this is a statistics course, the second part of test 1 is the applied test. For the applied test, you will have a data set and an answer sheet. You will follow the directions on the answer sheet and analyze the data. And then you will write your answers on the answer sheet, which you will need later. Now, when you're ready, you will go to our course website and click on the link for the applied test. At that point, you will enter the answers that you wrote on your answer sheet into the blanks on the online applied test. And when you're done, you'll submit it for grading. Now, you can work on this applied test at your convenience. You can take all the time that you need to work out the answers. The unit test, however, will have a timer on it. You do not have to complete both parts of the test at the same time, and you can complete them in either order. It's up to you what you do first. The tests are due at the end of Block A. Then we begin Block B, which comprises weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. And at this point, we reach our first hard deadline. What does that mean? Well, all along, I've been telling you about due dates. Now, these are the dates by which you should complete material from a given week so that you stay on track with your learning. You don't want to fall behind. However, in case you overlook something or you need a little extra time, the hard deadline comes 1 week after the end of a block. This means you have an extra week to finish anything that was left undone from the previous block. But here's how that works. At the hard deadline, any assignments, tests, tutorials, anything that is incomplete is graded as a 0. And you cannot go back and make up those points. So you have lots of flexibility in the timing at which you complete the work. But it's up to you to manage your time to make sure you get everything done before that hard deadline. So this is a good reason not to wait until Sunday night of week 5 to begin test 1. If your computer crashes, the internet goes down, if anything goes wrong, you are already overdue by 1 week, and the door shuts on the opportunity to get those points. So please, use the flexibility to your advantage. Stay ahead of those deadlines. Now let's look at the overall class structure. Block A is weeks 1 through 4, followed by test 1. Block B is week 5 through 8, and the hard deadline for Block A comes at the end of week 5. Block C includes weeks 9 through 12, and the hard deadline for Block B is at the end of week 9. Block D is the last block of the semester. The hard deadline for the previous block is at the end of week 13. But now things start to look a little different. At the end of Block D, we will have test 4, which is still a unit test using the lockdown browser, as well as an applied test. Test 4, both the unit test and the applied test, will cover only material in Block D. However, because this is the end of the semester, you will also have a comprehensive final. As the name implies, the comprehensive final will include information from throughout the semester. But because you are already taking a deep dive into material from Block D, the comprehensive final will focus on materials from Blocks A, B, and C. This means at the end of the semester, you are tested over everything from the entire semester. The final exam deadline for the end of the course is Thursday at the end of finals week. Everything must be completed by that final deadline. Our LMS, our learning management system, is D2L Brightspace. This is where you'll find all the lecture notes, assignments, tests, everything that makes up our course. Now let me show you what you can expect. As you can see, each block is clearly labeled. Let's take a look at Block A. Each week is contained in its own folder, which is actually a web page. Test 1 is located below the weekly web pages, and the Cengage tutorials and assignments are below the test. You can get to the Cengage material from here, but you're not going to need to, and let me show you why. Each weekly folder is organized the same way. Here at the top, you'll find your course materials. The reading section will contain a link to the chapter that we are studying for that week, as well as an overview video from Cengage about that topic. This is a short video that's a good introduction to what we'll be learning. Under Lecture, you'll find a PDF of the course notes for that week, as well as the slides from the PowerPoint that I'll use for that lecture. Now, I strongly encourage you to have a copy of the course notes with you when you come to the lecture or when you watch the lecture video. Now, many students prefer to print the course notes, which is great. That's what I would do. Other students will load them onto an iPad and take notes directly in the PDF. You do what works for you. Now, the lecture slides are not intended to be printed. I create them in high resolution so that you can see the slides clearly. I think it's just easier to follow by scrolling through on a screen. And these are the same slides that will appear in the lecture video. Now, under Lab, you will find any notes or instructions for that week, along with a spreadsheet that contains the data that we will be working with. Our lab experiments will follow the techniques that I covered in the lecture, showing you in detail how to run all of the analyses or create the visualizations that I've taught you about in that lecture. Below that, you'll find lecture video. Now, the video should be available at the beginning of the week, but because I'm always adding new material, there may be times when you see the video appearing a little later in the week. Sometimes I will record a lecture in class on Monday, finish the editing, and get it posted late Tuesday or Wednesday. Any additional videos or similar materials will appear below. This is where you find the links to the Cengage tutorials. Now, these are short, graded tutorials that will teach you the skills that you'll use either for your homework assignment or for the applied test. The Cengage MindTap tutorials and assignments are actually posted on the Block A page, so they'll appear in the Brightspace gradebook. But I create links to the assignments in the weekly web page so that you can complete all of your work in a single page, and you will not have to leave it. That way, you know that you have completed everything. Start at the top of the page, work your way down. When you get to the bottom, you're done for that week. Now, this is where you can get to the PackBack discussion for each week. And below that, you'll find your weekly assignment. The weekly assignment is structured similar to the applied test. You will have a worksheet and a data set. You will analyze the data following the directions on the worksheet. And when you're ready, you'll click on the link to the applied assignment and enter your answers. Now, this is important. Do not click on this link until after you have finished your analysis and filled in the worksheet. Once you click on this link, the assignment begins, and you can't back out of it. Now, in many cases, you will have 2 attempts at an assignment, allowing you to go back and fix something that you got wrong, but it's better to not waste one of those attempts. Don't click the link early. Wait until you're ready. When you reach the bottom of this page, you are done for the week and you can take a well-deserved break. Or you could begin on next week. So here is something important about the way that Cengage and Brightspace work together. And you've already seen how I will link to the assignments through Brightspace. However, the assignments and tutorials are coming from Cengage MindTap. And Cengage has created many more assignments than what I am going to use in this course. If you go to the Cengage site and look at the Cengage gradebook, you will see dozens of assignments that all say counts toward grade. This is true. They count toward a grade in the Cengage gradebook, but not in our course. Now, I've had students in the past complain about how too much homework was being assigned in this course. They were working on dozens of assignments each week. Now, if you want to do all of the Cengage assignments, who am I to stop you? However, the only assignments that count for your grade in our course are those that you link to through our Brightspace LMS. I would recommend that you just ignore the Cengage gradebook and look only at your Brightspace gradebook. That is the gradebook that you get to through the Grades drop-down menu at the top of your Brightspace LMS. Otherwise, you will be doing dozens of Cengage assignments that all say count toward grade, but that do not actually count for your grade in this course. So there's one more part that I want to tell you about, and that is the PackBack discussions. PackBack is an AI-supported online discussion platform. It's designed as a space to develop your curiosity and your critical thinking, which are important skills for your scholastic and career success. Each week, you are going to post 1 question and 2 responses in PackBack. As you write, you will notice your curiosity score increasing. PackBack will give you feedback about the quality of your writing. You need to achieve a minimum score of 50 points in order to receive full credit for that week. Curiosity scores less than 50 will receive half credit. The weekly deadline is Sunday at midnight, but there is a very important thing to remember. Unlike the rest of the course, PackBack discussions only count during the week that you write them. You cannot work ahead. You cannot make up discussions from the previous week. This is the one exception to that hard deadline rule that I told you about earlier. You must work on your PackBack discussion each week to get credit for that week. So let's wrap up this welcome video with a few suggestions of how to do your very best in class. I hope that you can see time management is going to be key to your success. I encourage you to start early and to work ahead. In fact, you can get started right away. In Brightspace, you will see a section called Week 0 Start Here. Week 0 will walk you through the tasks that you need to do to be ready on day 1. You need to connect Brightspace to your Cengage MindTap. You need to install Microsoft Office, specifically Microsoft Excel, and install the add-in analysis tool pack in Excel. You'll need to install the statistical program JASP. And you need to install the Respondus lockdown browser. You can download a copy of the syllabus for your course, as well as the course schedule. And there's an important message from someone about the syllabus. And here's one more hint. As you work through week 0, you will have the opportunity to earn 10 points of extra credit. It's hidden among the tasks, so you must look for it. That extra credit opportunity will end at the end of the second week, so I encourage you to get started early. And finally, you are welcome to reach out to me via email with questions. However, when you do, please include your course number in the email header. That way, I know that you are a student and I will prioritize answering your email. It is helpful if you give me your name and a description of what you would like to know. If you have a question about a particular assignment or a particular item, reference the assignment name and the number of that item. Screenshots are always helpful, and they allow me to answer your question more quickly. The more information that you can give me up front, the quicker and easier I will be able to respond to your question. So there you go. That is what you need to know in order to get started with your QBA 237 Basic Business Statistics course. I hope that you find the structure of the course is easy to follow and the due dates and the deadlines give you the flexibility that you need to do all of the work and keep the frustration to a minimum. I wish you the best, and I will see you in statistics class.